Good late afternoon and good early evening. And it's June 21st, and we're at the Hilton in St. Petersburg. And what a great weekend we're having. The Florida 2024 Boxing Florida Hall of Fame. And here I am with the man behind the whole plan, the president and CEO, Steve Canton. Welcome back, man.
Well, it's always great to be here, Hector. It's a fabulous weekend. There's a lot of great people here, a lot of great fans here. It's going to be spectacular, and it all starts tonight. So get out of here for the whole weekend, tonight, tomorrow, Sunday. Fun day.
Hey, Steve, Hall of Fame. I mean, there's so many achievements in life, like especially as a boxer. You want to get to the nationals when you start in your amateur. You dream to becoming a professional, then a Hall of Famer. Then you become a Hall of Famer now, a legend. Heroes are remembered, legends forever live. What is the process after a person retires, a fighter retired? What is the wait period before he's eligible to be voted for Boxing Hall of Fame?
Yeah, we have a 5-year wait period. When a fighter retires from boxing, they have to be retired 5 years. Then they become eligible. And there's other qualifications, like they have to be, we're a state Hall of Fame, not national. So they have to be from Florida or living in Florida or trained extensively in the state of Florida during their career. And the other people can get in as they work, promoters, managers, trainers, media people. They're all eligible in the sport, but a fighter has to be retired 5 years.
5 years. Now, this year's class, we got a list. Every year it's a special year because every year you have someone special. I mean, this Florida boxing has been established since what year started?
Yeah, we started in 2009, and Florida traditionally has been one of the top states in the country for boxing. And every year, the class of inductees is fabulous. You keep having a great year, and then you think, how is it going to get better? And each year it gets better. So it's fabulous.
And it's not just the inductees. We're talking about the fighters coming worldwide and other franchises from Indiana. We just saw a Hawk in the house.
Right. We have people from all over the world actually come here just to see the weekend and be part of the weekend and enjoy the weekend. They don't come just from Florida, but they come from worldwide, and we love it.
Hey, talking about the man himself right here. This is Indiana CEO, Mr. Hall of Fame. Introduce yourself to the fans out here.
Craig Houck, Indiana Boxing Hall of Fame, started in 2018 and been going strong ever since. So I come to see my bud, Steve Canton. Now, here's how far back me, Steve Canton, go. 1996, I'm fighting some guy named, I think, Hector Camacho or something like that.
Yeah.
Something like that at Madison Square Garden.
Small arena,
right? Yeah, Madison Square Garden, the most famous arena in boxing, okay? So the next thing you know, I didn't have a cut man. And they're like, hey, you got a cut man? You got a cut man? So the next thing I see Steve over there. And, of course, Steve's been going back to the old Cincinnati days and long time goes back days. So I remember him. I'm like, hey, Steve, would you be my cut man? Steve says,
no problem. Be glad to.
Yes.
So not really paying attention to who's going to be in the other corner against Craig.
No. So I get there, and we go to the ring, and next thing I heard, he's like, who are you fighting? I'm like, oh, I don't know if you know him. I get up there. He sees Hector Camacho, which I didn't know it. Hector Camacho just used to train in his gym.
Yeah, he was training in my
gym. So, Greg, you meant to tell me you didn't know Flamboyant Hector Camacho. You really never heard about him too much before you fought him?
No, I knew Hector Camacho. I knew he was famous. I knew how important he was. The thing about it is I didn't know Steve was going to trick. I didn't know Steve had trained him. So I just asked him to work, and Steve didn't know that I was fighting Camacho. So that's how it works sometimes, and that's how me and Steve got together.
Yeah.
And that fight you ended up winning. No. Okay.
No, let me finish that story because it was pretty interesting. So Camacho looks across and sees me in Craig's corner.
You're working it.
And he had been in my gym. So now what happens in the first round, Craig got cut pretty badly. There was a lot of blood in the first round.
Correct.
With a bad cut. Okay, so he comes in the corner, and I did my job. I closed it up. There was no blood on Craig when he answered the bell for round 2. Yeah. I saw Camacho look at Craig's face, look over at the corner at me, and he ended up dropping Craig in that round with an uppercut.
Which I didn't see. They could be 17 stitches in the mouth, but who's counting?
So what happens is Camacho runs over above me at Madison Square Garden, and he has a glove pointed at me, and he goes, I cut him up, you fix him up. I know I can't beat him on cuts, so I stop him. What do you think of that? That's what he yells at me.
And then he hit me on the back of my butt when I was on the floor, which was pretty cool. I mean, it's funny. But, Camacho's a great fighter. Steve Canton does a great job for the Florida Boxing Hall of Fame. And this is all us being family. This is all of us doing personal stuff, and he's helping fighters. I'm helping fighters. I have nothing against that. We enjoy that. Steve Canton does a phenomenal job, and I'm here to support him every year. I've been coming since 2018. I hit all the Hall of Fames, but Steve's has a spot for me. I started here, amateur fight, 34-4 as an amateur. A lot of my amateur fights were here in Florida. Started here in 1983, fighting with some guy named Roy Jones Jr. and Antonio Tarver. That's them guys, and we're in the Sunshine State Games in 1983 in Jacksonville, Florida. So that's how far back it goes. And then in '85, I fought in the Golden Gloves, and my teammate was Jimmy Navarra, who ends up fighting for the Bantamweight World Championship. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Jimmy may be here today too. So I'm just saying that. I can remember training with Uriah Grant. Uriah Grant was a cruiserweight world champion of the world. And he was from my gym, the Lake Worth Gym. Johnny O'Brien, God rest his soul. What a great person Johnny O'Brien was for boxing here in Florida. So, I'm here to support, and I enjoy it. And me and Steve have a great time. Of course, I got my Duran shirt on because Dylan, is here. And I'm a big Duran fan, 1972. And I'm a big fan of Florida. And Steve does a great job, and so does the voice of boxing, Bob Alexander. Bob's one of my guys. I was just at the Don King fight, and me and Don King go back to 1994 together. And so I'm at the Don King fight, and I see Bob Alexander, I see Nate Campbell, I see the referee, all from Florida, and I come down, I'm making contact. I say, see you guys in a couple weeks, And that's what this is all about. It's about our brotherly love, brotherhood, yeah.
And, and so good to see Bob, because we know that he went early this year. He had some complication with diabetic. And I wrote to him, so it's amazing because he did such a great job. And Christy Martin was in the house also. And like you just said, it's a family. Prayers that stick together. This Florida boxing, you never know who's going to walk through that door.
No, and that's what makes it interesting. I just saw John Molina, and I was a big fan of John Molina. I'm a big fan of Juan Laporte. Here's another thing. Me and Steve have a boxing knowledge, that a lot of people don't have. So next thing you know, they start asking me different questions, and I'll just tell them right off the bat. The WBA started in 1921, the WBC started in 1963, the IBF started in 1983, and the WBO started in 1988. Now, there's not many people that know that, but next thing you know, I'll start asking Steve about some guy named Aaron Pryor or something. I don't know. Do you remember him?
Kind of. I remember a 15-year-old kid started out boxing in Cincinnati in my gym. And he was Aaron Pryor. And I'm thinking, who is this guy? And he ended up being a great fighter. And a great loss when he passed, kind of young from congestive heart failure. But Aaron was just super. And as a 15-year-old walking in the door in a gym, it was just, memories that don't go away.
And then back then it was 15 rounds, and fighters you let them fight more. Eventually, unfortunately, to what happened in the.
Still living in those days, 12-round fights are preliminaries for the 15-round title fights. They're regional title fights.
It's over. I'm just take the other side. You know how the one takes the left and one takes the right.
Except Craig takes the middle because he don't know which side.
I know exactly what side. We're 12-round fights right now. That's where we're stuck at. I think they did it for a few different reasons.
And the one reason they did it for, Craig, I'd argue with you, is everything money, right?
Of course.
A 12-round fight fits in a 1-hour broadcast. A 15-round fight does not. So when ESPN was doing these 2-hour broadcasts, they would have a 12-rounder and a 4-rounder, and 6 or 2 4s and an 8. They can fit that in their broadcast, but you couldn't do a 15-round with anything. So they cut it to 12. They did it for TV purposes and wrote it off as saying it's for safety reasons. False. It's not for safety reasons because statistics will show there's fewer injuries around 13, 14, and 15 than they are in the beginning, because both fighters are equally tired at the end and less damage and less injuries at the end. So it was done for TV purposes in reality.
And then,
Just like the way
I'm going to get back in. I'm going to go back in. You okay?
that's what you always been, man.
What's 15 more minutes? You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, that's just my opinion. Okay, 12 rounds is perfect. Okay, and listen, there's rock.
What about a 13? So then there will be no draws.
There used to be a
There will be no
13th round.
draw.
Do you remember that? There was a 13th round.
About that, 'cause I don't
There
remember.
was a 13th round at one time.
Oh, yeah.
So we had if a fight went to 12 rounds and was a draw, we went to the 13th round, and that was Ronnie Essen from Indianapolis, Indiana. Ronnie Essen fought here in Florida, and Ronnie Essen won a 13 round, and that was for the NABF Championship of the world. I mean, in NBA, in NABF, National Boxing Federation.
Hey, listen, it's all about these guys now because they're old school now. You got better medication, you got better equipment. These guys get baby more and a lot more money.
That's true, but you got to understand, like Bob, I always challenge him every year to jokes, but he somehow seems to get one past me. But I asked him, I said, look, how did Stevie Wonder meet his wife? And he said, I don't know. I said, obviously he met her on a blind date.
Now, I got this definition of eternal love. You know what that might be?
No.
That would be Stevie Wonder playing Ray Charles in a game of tennis. Eternal love.
You see,
Never stops.
hey, this hasn't even begun here yet. This is what's gonna happen to and when it gets started, man, it's gonna be what a class of 2024. Last year was
David Diaz,
exciting.
the lightweight champion of the world. He beat Eric Morales for the WBC light championship of the world. You can't be Olympian, 1996 Olympian. Yeah. The only one that won the Olympics in 1996. Trivia question: Do you think he knows it?
Was
Who's 1996 only gold medal winner? I got him.
you got me there?
I got it. David Reed. He's over. I beat.
I hadn't finished yet. It's David Reed.
No, I got him. I got him that time. You
Tarver
saw
won
that
bronze.
punch.
Wow,
You saw
Reed
that
won
punch. You see that
bronze.
punch?
And we remember David Reed went undefeated against Tito Felix Trinidad, where he got his first defeat. And you also had John Molina this year, 2024. John Molina from Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico, great fighter, great champion. I can remember him being a featherweight and a super featherweight world champion, WBO and WBC. So there we go, back with my knowledge. Now it's back on to Steve. John Molina, I think in 1989 he won the world championship. Now I'm just getting asked that straight up. Go ahead.
I had Joey Negron fight John Molina in Miami. So I'm in the opposite corner of John with my guy Negron. John remembered that. Now here we are inducting him in Florida years later, which is pretty cool.
It's great stuff.
It's good stuff. I'll tell you a story. Remember Al Ice Cole that got inducted a few years ago? So Al Ice Cole told the story that when he started boxing, he never started till he joined the Army. He was at Fort Hood with Kenny Adams and Alton Murkison as trainers. Never boxed in his life. He was already older. He started boxing as a novice. Now here's the interesting thing. His first novice fight he ever had was on a show I promoted in Austin, Texas in 1984. 38 years later, I'm inducting him in the Hall of Fame in Florida. And here, that's a history. But see, he started out as a novice, first novice fight. The next year, he was a national open champion. Okay, and then he was turned pro. He was a pro world champion. And I saw him several times as a pro. We just talked. And now he got inducted in the Florida Hall of Fame 38 years after his first.
Another trivia question. Never trivial, Christian. Al Cole was with the triple threat. Name the three fighters.
Charles Murray.
Yes.
Ray Mercer.
Correct. And Al Ice Cole. Correct. I knew he was going to get that one. I had to let him rebound.
At least you're fair, Like Cortez says, I'm fair, but I'm firm.
Forget about it.
Forget about it. Hey,
Oh yeah, he did. He missed that one. He missed that one.
I asked Steve Cotton because for the fans, some of us don't know like rules as far as getting into the Hall of Fame. Every sport has a different type of year wait until you qualify, and he said it was 5. Now, is there? I ask you, is there a limit where? Like in baseball, I think if you've been in the ballot for 18 years and you're not elected, you no longer qualify. Is there no limits on boxing?
There's no limits on boxing. Never, there's no limits. And here's another thing. Sometimes they want them to be retired so long, blah, 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 whatever. Whoever's going to bring the most people is getting inducted. I'm joking. No.
So dead people get inducted, but they don't show up. I noticed that. Did you notice that, Craig?
I've been doing this for years,
You
and
that
all
too,
the
same
dead
thing?
people don't show.
I feel like I'm on the stand-up comedian here instead of the Hall of Fame.
We're still voting them in. Yeah,
And this is what it's about. That's why you guys got to come out here, man. You guys got to come out here, man, and give respect to those that deserve respect and have paid the way for you guys to have the chance to one day wear that ring. You know, that Hall of Fame ring, because you know what? This is it. This is becoming a Hall of Fame now.
Yeah. Now you got to remember. Okay, so I'm fighting some guy named Hector Camacho.
Okay.
All right, and I'm fighting him, and we're on the way to the ring. And my promoter at that time was Fred Burns, who was one of his friends. So when we're in the dressing room, you can hear the punches and everything going on, bing, 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 bing. And, Camacho's group keeps singing, "What time is it? Macho time, and what time is it? Macho time, and what time is it? Macho time." So we're fighting at the the Creek in 2003. Okay, we're fighting Macho time at the Creek. All right, so I'm coming to the ring. Right, I get knocked down. I get up. So I tell Fred. I said, "Fred, what time is it?" He goes, 9:38. It went clear over his head.
Oh man, really?
No, it's Macho time. Yeah, it was one of the best.
Hey, stepping in with Macho Camacho, man. What was it like, man? Was he really the flamboyant and clown in the ring? But he did fall.
Now, here's this game. I'm going to explain it to you. And I explained it to Mark Lanton, and I explained it to a lot of people. I explained it to Frank Martin, who just fought our boy Gervonta Davis and got knocked out. I told him the great fighters, the great ones, they can hit you with the punches underneath that you can't see, that set you up to knock you out. And that's exactly, it's Camacho. I didn't see that uppercut. No way in hell. And I didn't see the left hand after he hit me with. So those are what I'm talking about. Chavez, I didn't see the left uppercut, and I didn't see the left. After that, the left hook to the, so the punches you don't see are the ones that catches you and are the one that beat you.
The ones you see, you can either roll with them, you can block them, you can, they don't affect you as bad. The ones you don't see are the one that does the damage. And the difference is they'll throw punches in combination and they'll hide a punch or two in that combo that you never saw.
When Cotto fought Pacquiao, he was asked after the fight. Gene Lehman asked him, so what do you think is it Pacquiao? And he looked at Gene Lehman and said exactly, how can you get away from something you don't see?
That's the truth. You just can't see it coming, And it's like a Steve Canton joke. You don't see it coming. It starts up here, and next thing you know, boom. I know. I told him. What does he got to bend? What tells that joke again about the unemployment?
Oh, no, I had some jokes about unemployed people, Craig, but they don't work.
We were trying them all day long, but they just don't work.
They don't work.
We were trying them.
Hey, listen, it's like, I tell you, this is what we get, man. This is so much. It's so much given to the sport on these athletes nowadays,
That's the
and
thing we care is a passion for the sport. Yeah, love for the game, and that's why we care for everybody. Yes, and that's our group, and that's why I come to Florida, because I feel more comfortable on weekends here with my people than I do at some high school basketball game. All due respect, you know what I'm saying. But these are my people I ran with, and this is the crowd that I ran with, and this is the people I grew up with. So obviously, Steve Canton has been around for, I'm going to say,
More than people been alive.
I don't know. I'm going to say, what did you do? What year start? Be honest.
1957. As an 11-year-old kid in the Police Boys Club in New York. That's when I started boxing, 1957.
so you see, how far you get into boxing, Steve? How far you get into boxing? Amateur? You went to pros?
I had 146 fights between amateur and had pro fights under various names, as Craig's familiar with that was in the old days.
Yeah.
But
and even in the amateur days,
yeah.
I'm going to be on a lot.
Yeah,
You would get beat in Kentucky, and then you go fight in Ohio, or you get beat in Indiana, and you go fight in Illinois. Back in those days, back in the old days, there was no commission, and they didn't have anything to regulate the sport. So we would try to sneak as much as we could. Of course, if you get beat in some state, you try to win the Open, so you go to the Nationals. You know.
So you had the ability to actually fight in 1 month twice, if you could.
Here's the thing. When I won the Sunshine State Games in 1985, I fought on Friday night, Saturday morning, Saturday evening, and Sunday for the championship, just to wear that medal. And that's not that. But we didn't know anything about protocol. We didn't know about head injuries. We didn't know about any of that, did we?
No, that was weird. But the thing is, too, there were actually not that many injuries in proportion to the fighters because the fighters knew how to fight in those days, too.
Correct.
That's another thing. There were more fighters. When you look at the statistics and the percentages, there were fewer injuries, actually. Like right now, there's 80% more broken jaws in boxing than there were 20 years ago. It's an interesting statistic with fewer fighters because today's fighters are all having the mouth open in the pocket, throwing punches and making sound. Get hit with the mouth open, jaw breaks. In the old days, we were biting on the mouthpiece, and you don't get the broken jaws. So there's changes in the way the sport has evolved, and not for the better in many ways.
And also, when you're talking and you're fighting, you actually open your mouth, so you're being yourself, putting yourself on the
I
spot.
could sit here and talk with you, and we had a bunch of fights.
Yes,
Nobody
that's true. But okay, here's the thing. All right. We had a Indiana National Golden Glove winner that was from Ohio that come over and fought here in Indiana, and he was a guy named Aaron Pryor or something like that. So he wins the Nationals. Aaron Pryor beat Tommy Hearns in the final as the night. Yeah. And Hilbert Canton in there, and he lost in the Olympics to Howard Davis Jr., which a lot of people thought he beat. But that's how good. It's always a questionable decision. But what I'm saying is that's how far back we go to the sport, and that's how far we know that it's changed through the names and states and regulation. But today we have a different standard. We have computers. We have different stuff. So things have changed, and I think it's changed pretty much for the better. Wouldn't you say?
I don't see a lot of it to the better, but that's why we're on both sides of it. There's changes, but I don't see a lot of improvement.
Tastes great.
I'm telling you.
Let's fit.
Yeah.
Tastes great.
Hey, look, don't drink the beer, okay? Drink Miller Lite.
Wait a minute. Beer, I heard, makes you smart. It made Budweiser.
Here we go, man. Canton just landed an uppercut that you didn't see, and I'm stunned right now. But I'm going to come back. I'm coming back. I'm fast, I'm pretty, and can't possibly be beat. And if you want to lose your money, bet on Sonny.
But if I'm so fast, I can remember things that haven't even happened yet.
Well, like my friend said, this one ain't no sunshine and rainbow. It's a mean and nasty place. And I don't care how tough you are, it will drop you to your knees and keep you there permanent if you let it. Not you, me, or nobody is going to hit us harder than life. But Steve, it's not about how hard you hit, but how you get hit and you get up and you keep them moving forward. It's all about winning. So stop pointing a finger on Orlando. If he did this, he should have done that. And you know what? That's for losers, and that's not you.
That's not me. He's just the referee.
So, we're here. And we're with the Hall of Famers, bro, and we're having a blast right here at the 2024 Florida Boxing Hall of Fame, man. And keep tuned to Beast Boxing Tiger for more, man. Anything else you want to Ken?
We're good.
I'm fast.
And he's pretty.
And I can't possibly be beat.
And that's a fact.
So if you want to lose your money, bet on
Sonny.
There we go.
Podcast Sepan. God bless and keep punching. We'll be right back after this.
What a man.
I had this horrible
Let's take a picture
dream.
here.